Do you want to know how to tell if this Elon Musk Twitter thing really is about free speech? I've got 3 simple ways for you to tell for sure. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it pretty amazing when I see the reaction of so many people on the sale of Twitter. Obviously, I understand the position of those who run at the board. They want to make money, and to do so, they need to cater for the masses of the online community. They want the perception of being progressive, but not too much. Maybe left, but with the perceived centre still in view. Obviously, they've failed this dismally. They've gone too far, and they've been secretly willing not only to influence or control the narrative, but they've gone as far to censor and delete information. I mean, what is this, North Korea? Now, that's the board. But to me, it speaks volumes that millions of people who use this platform are so fragile. They're scared of hearing a differing opinion. They're literally scared of free speech. They're obviously hypocritical too. They're quite fine for that to happen when the board was left, but now Elon Musk wants to take over. They're now saying how dangerous it is to have censorship. I mean, if that's not hypocrisy, what is that? But this is particularly sad for a nation or culture that started with such a strong basis and claims to champion free speech. But what should be more concerning is that the censoring and cancelling of people's accounts get cancelled, just knocked off. It's happening over things that are factually true. It's not people inciting riots or hatred or racism. It's people saying factual statements
that never should have been allowed to happen under any circumstances. It's like communism. That is crazy.
But here's the 3 ways to see if he actually values free speech. Now, the first one's pretty simple. It's pretty logical, might not even be worth stating. You'll see it happening straight away. You might even have seen it happen before you listen to this. Free speech will demand that Twitter restore all previously cancelled accounts if they didn't break the law. They'll be reinstated. I mean, it's pretty logical, right? You were banned, you were cancelled for saying something they didn't agree with. Well, now there's free speech. Your account will be reinstated. Welcome back, hordes of dissenters. Oh, please, everyone but Trump. No matter whether you love Trump or hate him, his account will be back on Twitter if Elon Musk values free speech genuinely. So will lots of other people that you may disagree with. Obviously, there's going to be a drawback that there'll be more people with stupidity, so with rudeness and deliberate hoax like false information. But that is a small price to pay. As annoying as these people are, they need help too. They've got their own issues going on. They need attention or whatever. They're generally fairly easy to spot as well. But at least we should get a more complete picture, a more rounded set of information, a more informed debate, and a more balanced centre. So that's number 1. Pretty clear, pretty easy. Number 2, does Elon Musk really care about free speech? Now, you might be able to debate this one. Will he cancel the Twitter account that tracks his private jet? Now, some of you might think this is a privacy or confidentiality or security issue, and so he has a different set of reasons why he might cancel it. I know personally I definitely would not want someone tracking or stalking me. But if the law allows it, if it's not illegal, then free speech would demand that Musk doesn't cancel that account once he has full control. Only time's going to tell. Is that account still up? Well, let's see. Number 3. This is the one where we get down to the real test, but it's going to take time. If Twitter stays on the Apple App Store and it stays on Google Play in the months or years to come, you know that Twitter is still not free speech. Apple and Google are opposed to free speech, and they will not allow true free speech apps on their respective stores. This should concern you a lot. If you want more information on this, you should go over to Gab and listen to Andrew Torber's journey trying to start a free speech alternative to Twitter. He saw this going on years ago and said, I'm going to start something where people don't get cancelled. This is worrying. We can't get cancelled. It's hard to believe the journey, the resistance, the pushback he got. Now, he's now got what I think is the best free speech platform, gab.com. Go over there, have a look. It's incredible, but why did he get such a big pushback? His journey showed clearly it's not just the app stores. He was harassed and cancelled by the banks, by payment processors, by domain registrars, by hosting providers, mainstream, well, he calls them the legacy media. Every link in the information chain is locked down, is controlled. The narrative is controlled. So everything you see, everything you hear, and everything you read is controlled, and now you think you're getting information that's free. But they're all opposed to free speech. Totally locked down. And people think religion's controlling. Now, I'm going to go on a tangent. Religion can be controlling. Catholicism, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses, there's stacks of cults that are very controlling. Some will even force you to disown your family if they don't agree with you. Now, most religions have a basis in what's called works. You do X, Y, and Z, some of them say A, B, C as well, to earn God's favour. From the Mayans to the Egyptians, to the Romans, to the Catholics, to the JWs, all the ceremonies look different, but the basis is the same in virtually all of them. Islam, they're all, Jesus came along. Now, he threw a spanner in the works. He said, there's no way you can earn your way to God. He said, God's so perfect, his law is so high, his standard is so high, that we can never attain it. We've all sinned, we're under God's wrath, we're doomed. But he didn't leave it there. He said, because God the Father didn't want us, all of humanity, to be lost for good, he sent his son, Jesus, to die on the cross to pay our debt. So those who turn from their sin, trust Jesus, are saved. Not by doing the right thing, that's religion, but by trusting in what Jesus has done. So I personally think that this is the one and only thing that can save our culture. Now, I want to reiterate, it's never happened in all of history. No culture has ever got to where we got to in 1970 and managed to come back and still survive as a culture for 100 years. But I believe if we repented of our sin, of what God calls sin, not what we think is sin. You ask someone, are you a good person? Everyone says yes. As a dealer, I used to say yes. As someone who used to rip people off and live with women in sin and all that sort of stuff, I used to steal and take drugs regularly, and I won't incriminate myself too much. I used to think I was a good person. We look to other people, but God says you tell one lie, you're a sinner. He says what sin is. He says if you look at someone with lust or have sex before marriage, you're a sinner. That's adultery. Now, you might go, oh, that's a wowzer position, but you might be surprised to know that having sex before marriage is one of the things that ensures a society, a culture, will decline. Sex before marriage matters. Why? I believe because God set it in place. He set it as the bedrock for a nation. Marriage is for one person for life. Sex is great in marriage. You have sex before marriage. As a culture, if you accept that, it's one of the indicators that your culture cannot survive. The second one is monogamy. Once you're married, you stay faithful to that woman. Now, if we're going to live according to what God says, then I believe that we can come back from the brink of destruction. But without Jesus, that's it. I believe we're doomed. All of this should horrify you. What is it that the big players have to control so completely and securely? Why can't we have access to information? Isn't it communism when the government tries to control what we think or what we have access to in the way of information? Right now, in 2022, the truth is you have no ability to get accurate or trustworthy news on anything. We've fallen asleep. We're so interested in what we feel. We're so interested in selfish pleasures that we've allowed all kinds of crazy things to become normal. Wake up! There's very few sources of truth left, and we need truth. The Bible holds truth. Read it. Read the Bible. Follow what it says. It says we're doomed without Jesus. Trust it. You can't trust much else.